First of all, announced during the Game Awards just a couple of weeks prior, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a multiplayer-based survival horror game supposedly though, is soon to be hitting PCs and consoles, and probably sooner than you might expect is what they said. Here's a new trailer also, and in terms of actual gameplay, all we actually know is that the game will work just like the last Friday the 13th game. Check it out.
That's what I thought.
Look, Bob Hopper doesn't know him either.
Bob's got other things to do right. It's news time.
Jesus!
Now, I've mentioned Ill before on the channel. It is perhaps one of the most visually stunning horror games out of a Hollywood project sort of thing in the making, and it's been looking incredible since it was announced almost 2 years ago. Anyway, we just got another look at the game through a new trailer, of course, and the news that we might get a release window sometime soon. Check this out.
You there, Mike? I made my way in. Found some sort of administrative room. It's a total mess here.
Shit. They were really rushing out of there, weren't they? Alright, head to the dome. It might be your only way down.
We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer.
Now, Alan Wake 2, on the other hand, the sequel to simply one of the coolest story-focused horror games out of the past decade, we know is at its very early stages of development. But at the same time, when the game was announced, thankfully, it was with the announcement of a release window of sometime in 2023. And in case you're wondering, Remedy Entertainment actually said we're gonna get some gameplay sometime soon, so keep it in mind.
This story is a monster.
Why are you back, Isaac? I'm looking for someone.
So chances are high you've already heard about this one from earlier just a couple months ago, but just in case you haven't. An open world psychological horror, or from what I'm hearing, a cinematic story-driven game that's taken a hell of a lot of inspiration from the Silent Hill series is in the making, going by Wronged Us. Now, they came out with a teaser for this game just a month ago, and we just got for the first time some actual gameplay to check out. Have you ever wondered what a Japanese dinosaur game since the old Dino Crisis games might look like today? Well, meet The Lost Wild, which I've actually mentioned before is a dinosaur survival horror, possibly an open world of some sorts game. Well, folks at the company described takes inspiration from the Resident Evil and Dino Crisis game, then even the Jurassic World and some Alien Isolation to boot. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs only sometime next year.
What makes you feel better? when you're feeling depressed. What makes you feel better? I don't feel better.
Ludo is a first-person psychological narrative-based horror game. It's about some guy who's kind of trapped in his own house due to some psychological reasons apparently, so it's a psychological horror game to some extent, of course. And here's how it looks like. This game is coming to the PlayStation 4, 5 and also PCs sometime later this year. Dead Space Remake, on the other hand, is officially out of the gaming scene until late 2022. So don't expect a release date nor new footage. Just bear in mind that this game is coming to PCs and the PlayStation 5 and also Xbox Series X. Dead Space Remake is, well, a sci-fi third-person horror game in case you're new, and simply one of the best things that ever happened in the gaming scene when it comes to horror game, now being built from the ground up, as developers of which stated, to a level of perfection. Okay, so besides the fact that there's some 2 Silent Hill games in the making right now, there's another horror game on the horizon by the same guy who made Silent Hill 1 from some like 25 years ago or something. This game is going by Slitterhead. It was announced at the Game Awards just a few weeks ago, and it's even composed by the same guy who made the original soundtrack. And this is what they came up with. Well, Choo-Choo Charles is probably the most talked about horror game in the making for the past few months at least. It's an open world survival horror game in which you play as a train operator that has to deal with the whatever Charles is. Well, check this out. The game is now coming our way in only a few months from now, and it's coming to PCs only for now, but also with plans to come out for consoles at a later date. We have Stray Souls, which is a psychological survival horror game. It's a third-person player, as you can see, with some sections of the game where you can play as other characters from a first-person view, apparently. Although we have actually not seen that from the demo that's available for the game on Steam right now, but apparently that will be an option later on. We'll go ahead and check out Steam, guys. Have fun with this one. The game is probably coming out in its full in 2023 sometime. Martha's Dead, on the other hand, is a first-person psychological thriller. Not a horror game necessarily. Like, it's the thing about this game, it's a thriller. Martha's just dead and you're gonna get a taste of it as well. Anyway, this game is coming out February 24th this year, words of its developers finally, and also to accompany the hype, they came up with another trailer for it. Check it out.
Catch a baby by the toe. If it squeals, let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Outlast Trials, though, which was, I think, one of the finest surprises out of the past year, now actually has a release date of 2022, targeting both PCs and consoles, including Switch. It is a first-person survival horror game, and this time around a co-op multiplayer experience. Promised to take things to a new direction. Check it out in case you've missed it.
You presented yourself as able-bodied and eager to make improvements. Wicked child! But your behavior. Don't fight the process. I'll learn you! We're all working to unlock your potential. You can't hide from me. Your new self. A better self. A productive member of society. Thank you for volunteering for the therapy.
Moving on, we have Quantum Error, which is slated to be released on the PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and acting as a next generation exclusive, what I'm hearing for Xbox consoles, but I think it's a timed exclusive? Not sure, but we know it's coming out mid to late this year. Which case you're new also, Quantum Error is an action horror shooter taking place on another planet's space station, kinda like the Dead Space franchise. Check this out. Negative Atmosphere was first announced all the way back in early 2019, which was a somewhat take on the Dead Space formula, and actually not a bad one at all, so to speak. Now has a support page on Patreon, where it says the game will eventually hit the market sometime this year, and it's a survival horror game at heart with a few new twists. Check it out.
Get out of here before something else breaks. Lights are back on, that's good.
Sector and inform maintenance personnel.
One of the real horror game hits from 2020, which I've been really mad to not have hands on simply because I don't own a VR headset yet. Propagation VR is having its sequel being made, going by Propagation Paradise Hotel. Now this game is available to be wishlisted on Steam. It's coming to all virtual reality headsets and due out later this year. Take a look.
We hope that you are as excited about this game as we are. And now, let's have a look at some more gameplay.
Have you guys seen the game Trenches, the World War experience? Some kind of a psychological horror game, basically through the eyes of a World War vet, which was a really good game, by the way. So there was another game in the making, just the same, going by Ad Infinitum. Now this is how it looks like, which is kind of looks even better than Trenches, but it's gonna come out in 2023 sometime, so keep it in mind for now. Just in case you're wondering what happened to the Dead Space creators, which you probably already had your doubts cleared out by now, but just in case you have not, they're actually making the Callisto protocol. This game was announced actually more than a year ago with only a release window of 2022, and this is what they came up with and said the game is a next generation take on the survival horror genre.
Something ain't right.
There is nothing to fear.
Neon Knight's Humanity Erased, which I've actually came across no more than a few hours ago, is a psychological cyber noir kind of a horror game in the making by an indie developer, which is a new one also, and promised to be making its way to PCs and consoles, and that is all there is to it. So check this out, a release date for this one is also yet to be announced.
You're nothing more than data!
We have Daymare 1994, Sandcastle, actually the sequel to Daymare 1998 by Invader Studios, in case you're wondering, a Resident Evil 2 inspired kind of game, kind of tribute that got its own identity over time, and into the next generation consoles now, in addition to PCs next year, with additional elements, new puzzles, and improvements upon its original formula. Check this out. Diphtheria, on the other hand, which I'm kind of new to myself, is actually an open world first-person shooter at heart, but at the same time incorporating survival horror elements like there's base building, primitive life settlements and stuff, kind of in the same vein as Daisy games. I don't know. This one's coming to PCs only mid to late this year. Level 0 is a tactical, online first-person horror game in which the survivors must repair this space station and defend themselves through different elements. It's that kind of game. It's a team-based horror game, kind of like Call of Duty's zombie mode experience with a dash of Alien Isolation and a bit of Dead Space thrown in for good measure. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs only, possibly next year.
Attention, critical overload. Backup power failure.
Scorn also just got its own release date finally, and it's now launching October this year for the Xbox Series X and S and also PCs. They even came out with a new trailer to celebrate the announcement, but just in case you are somehow new here, actually do make sure to check this one out if you're into games like Agony, which is kind of a mature rated game. Anyway, take a look. Now there's a lot of games in the making at the moment that will put you in the paws of a cat. There's Stray, which is not a horror game, y'all know Stray. There's a few more, but the latest to join the gaming scene goes by something light, Black Cat and Amnesia Girl, in which you'll help a little girl who has lost her memory, so it's kind of a horror game. Anyway, this game's coming to PCs only sometime next year. Moving on, we have Carnival Hunt, and even though it's been a few months since it was actually announced, it still kind of surprises me by the amount of balls they put into the trailer. The Carnival Hunt is a multiplayer survival horror game is what they said. This might be actual gameplay, it might not. It's probably not, but nonetheless, it comes with a really good premise. Look it up. This game's coming to PCs only sometime next year. RIPOUT, which was announced actually more than a year ago with only some kind of a CGI, also went on to receive its first official gameplay trailer. RIPOUT, which is a co-op first-person shooter or survival horror game, is now set to come out to PCs only mid to late next year. Check it out.
Unit 503 on patrol, report to dispatch.
503 to dispatch. Detective Peter Bennett on duty.
Hey Peter, what's your location?
Usual patrol. What's going on?
Westwood Shadows, on the other hand, which I think is a single game out of a Kickstarter campaign in this list, is a first-person puzzle-solving horror game and exploration-based atmospheric all at the same time, actually due out sometime later this year and into the PCs only is what they said, and this is actually what the game looks like.
Waking up at a place far, far away from home. Away from your lost ones. Away from friends. Away from safety. Trying to understand how you got there.
Y'all remember Abandoned? It was teased with only a 5 seconds or something trailer with the premise of some sort of a horror game made by Hideo Kojima, actually a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Anyway, Blue Box Studios, folks behind the game, went on to announce this game is coming out later this year, with its prologue actually coming out sometime in the summer. Also, here's a new trailer in case you've missed it.
Led by a religious nut job, a false prophet that will do anything for power, anything for wealth. And when you realize this, you know it's the end.
In Nightmare, on the other hand, is a narrative-driven horror game, adventure also, basically meaning there's a wide range of puzzles to deal with in this game and a good amount of action to boot as well. Now, I know this game's been in development for a while now, and it's finally coming out to the PlayStation 4 only. What we know at the moment is early to mid this year.
There is nothing to worry about, Mr. Kellerman. It's completely safe.
Warning, nanoparticle system unstable.
Okay, Doctor. See you soon.
Goodbye.
Dark Moonlight is a Black Mirror-inspired survival horror game announced earlier this year with the premise of an action game at the same time, set in the near future. Also, if you happen to know the Black Mirror series, you know this has a lot to do with the elements of sci-fi. Now, check this out. The game is coming to PCs only sometime later, possibly this year. Last but not least, there's Mirror Forge, a first-person psychological survival horror game that was announced only a couple of weeks ago. Now, this game's a tad puzzle-solving, exploration, and atmospheric choice-based. Check this out. The game is coming to PCs only April 29th this year.